Tutti, al pubblico in sala delle colonne di Giustinian, sede della Biennale, e un saluto al pubblico che ci segue da remoto sui canali social e sul sito web della Biennale. Siamo alle battute finali del 53esimo Festival Internazionale del Teatro, che oggi festeggia con il Leone d'Argento Ursina Lardi. E diamo il via alla cerimonia invitando sul palco il direttore artistico Willem Dafoe, che ci legge la motivazione del premio.
Thank you. I will read in English.
Pathetic. These two words shed some light on Ursina Lardi's artistic and creative journey to date, though only in part. Louder. With her consistently intense performances and her willingness to put herself on the line by embracing a wide range of directorial styles, Lardi's creativity as an actor has increasingly acquired an authorial connotation. Lardi is a Swiss citizen and was born in 1970 in Samaden, a small Romish town in the canton of Graubünden. She grew up between Poschiavo and Chur and discovered theater at an early age while at secondary school. After moving to Berlin at the age of 22, she enrolled at the Ernst Busch University of Theater Arts Berlin. Encouraged by her parents, who are here today, her mother, a musician, her father, a lawyer and former state councilor, her career has since gone on to span theater, film, and television, while always maintaining that burning adolescent passion that still makes her the tireless artist she is today. Frankfurt, Düsseldorf, Hamburg, Hanover, and with increasing frequency, Berlin, where she also came into contact with the Berliner Ensemble, were the cities in which she perfected her craft. In 2012, she joined the ensemble Schaubühne am Lehniner Platz and has since had the chance to work with Thomas Ostermeyer, a former classmate of hers, Katie Mitchell, Luke Percival, Alvis Hermanus, and indeed Milo Rau, with whom she collaborated and performed in 4 extraordinary productions. Here's the fun part. Mitleid der Geschichte alles Maschinengewirrs, Compassion, History of the Machine Gun, Lenin, Every Woman, and The Seer, which she just performed in the Biennale. In all of these, she is a powerful creative force driving the show as part of a playful, creative relationship with Rao that sets up a continuous back and forth of prompts and ideas, as well as a shared authorship and visionary quality. As well as theater, she has numerous film and TV credits to her name, including Das Weißband, ein deutsches Kindergeschichte, The White Ribbon, how'd I do? Okay, directed by Michael Haneke, which won the Palme d'Or at the 2009 Cannes Film Festival. Lore, directed by Kate Shortland, awarded the Bronze Lola at the 2013 Deutscher Filmpreis. Der Namenlose Tag, directed by Volker Schlandorf. Other awards include the Elliot Van Karian Cultural Fund Award in 2006, Best Female Performer at the 2014 Swiss Film Awards, and in 2017, the Hans Reinhardt Ring, Switzerland's highest award for theater professionals. What cannot be stressed enough is how with each and every character Lardi is tackled, from Einer Schlieff's Salome to Rainer Werner Fassbinder's Maria Braun, from Luba in Anton Chekhov's The Cherry Orchard, and many others. She has demonstrated the infinite grace and painful awareness needed to imbue every single line, every nuance of these texts, classical or contemporary, with great humanity. Her presence on stage endows her body with the strength to become not only the absolute theatrical mechanism, but also a bearing witness and perhaps a challenge. It is the political body par excellence. Particularly in her work with Milo Rao, Lardi has shown that she can make her individual story a collective one, taking on the contradictions of the Western bourgeois and capitalist world with absolute dignity and lucidity, as if the actress were once again and always the embodiment of her own time, with no means of escape, whether in a tender smile or a terrified gaze. Lardi has embodied the 1,000 permutations of an era that has come to its desperate collapse, while at the same time revealing the possibilities of a resistance that is not only artistic, but political and human. For this, and for the commitment with which she will undoubtedly face the times ahead, using theater as a mirror to reflect critically on civilization, Ursina Lardi is the recipient of the Silver Lion at the Biennale Teatro 2025.
Bene, invitiamo a salire sul palco Pietrangelo Buttafuoco, presidente della Biennale di Venezia.
We invite on stage Pietrangelo Buttafuoco, the president of La Biennale di Venezia. And we invite here on stage Ursina Lardi to receive the award. Something unexpected. Minister Alessandro Giuli and his wife, Valeria, are here with us. So it will be the Minister of Culture to give the Silver Lion to Ursina Lardi. A small break for the photos, and then we go on.
Più in alto? Adesso il discorso c'è. Adesso.
I would like to thank the president of La Biennale, Pietrangelo Buttafuoco. The theme of the theater sector and especially its artistic director, Willem Dafoe, for this extraordinary recognition. And I want to thank Andrea Porcheddu as well. I would also like to greet with affection my guests, my family, my friends who have come from Switzerland, Germany, and Ireland to celebrate this day with me. I thank the artists who have accompanied me along my path, stimulating me, challenging me, criticizing me, making me fly. Special thanks go to Milo Rau, Thorsten Lenzing, and everyone who works at the Schaubühne, the ensemble of which I've been a member for many years. I thank Tobias Veit for being here today. I admit that I've always struggled to take the value of awards too seriously, sometimes even when I was receiving them myself. So why is it different today? Perhaps the value of a thing is really grasped only when that thing is threatened. This threat is not about myself, but about what this prize represents: respect and esteem for art. Especially in times like these, with extreme right and libertarian parties, but also with more moderate conservative forces that continue to dismantle and annihilate not only funding and infrastructure, but the very conditions that make art possible. In times like this, making theatre has become in itself a political act. Theatre, for the mere fact of existing, reveals to us how we can be free. It prevents us from forgetting what man knows about man. Last week, during an interview, a journalist told me, "Theatre is talked about less and less and with more and more difficulty." A terrible, telling phrase. Theatre, and art in general, are experiencing a profound loss of meaning. And it is not just a question of cuts. Not only funding is lacking, but also respect and consideration for those who make culture. We are ridiculed, declared useless, superfluous, and harmless. And this hurts me more than any censorship, more than any form of pressure. The tone have become coarse, aggressive, everywhere. What a farce. What a show. The political class entered the scene wide-legged, brutal, virile to the point of grotesque, almost primordial, inhuman. The impact is enormous: fear, terror, every day. And that rattling of sabers that resonates everywhere. And everywhere there are simple answers to complex questions. In a climate like this, every nuanced thought, every sensitive face, every gesture of tenderness, every light and subtle tone imposes itself as a disruptive presence. It disturbs and acts as a means of contrast. And therefore, yes, it has its own logic if it is politically invoked today to trivialize us and to try and drain us. Now more than ever, we, protagonists of art and culture, must unite, rally in solidarity, and oppose attempts to set ourselves against one another in the upcoming struggles for the distribution of resources. We must confront, on stage and off, all the urgent issues that our contemporaneity imposes on us, But we must not be reduced to a simple reflection of political decisions or political discussions. We must not grant this power over us. For this reason, let's go back to art as soon as possible. I would like to read you a poem by Walt Whitman. Perhaps you hardly dare to say it. The long, very long times, the roads, the landscapes, the constellations, the Milky Way, the heartbeats of nature collected, all eras revealed in the deepest, memories of passions, heroes, wars, loves, adoration, all human lives, voices, desires, thoughts, all experiences were pronounced. And nevertheless, after countless songs, long or short, in every language of every land, something has not yet been told, neither orally nor in writing. Something is missing. Perhaps the best, still unexpressed. As you can see, there is still a lot to do. The complexity of the world escapes the grip of ideologies, and art is a powerful tool for understanding and shaping our time. We just have to move on. And even if sometimes these days we feel helpless, never mind. Art will perhaps be defenseless, but it is and will remain indestructible. In the motivation for the Silver Lion, Willem Dafoe talks about radicalism and empathy in my way of acting. Exact. Be radical. Be empathetic. We celebrate the human ability to be able to step aside, despite everything, despite the intrigues of everyday life and the political present, and to move freely on stage, without fear, without reservations, with strength and fragility, with a clear mind and the heart on fire. Because this is resistance.
Grazie a tutti.
Thank you all. We close here this emotional ceremony. We remind you that In a few minutes, a conversation will take place with the awarded Ursina Lardi, moderated by Maddalena Giovannelli, a scholar and an expert in theatre. Ursina Lardi has already shared a lot of her profession and of her path, but we have still some time to get into the workshop of her theatrical performances. The motivation has stressed the authorial, the authorship that is in your style as an actress. And you are perfectly in line with this Biennale that has put the body at the center of authorship in general. But there are different ways to express it. And one way is making choices. This Biennale was full of young actors and actresses, which was really extraordinary. And thinking of them, I would like to ask you, what is the value in your path as an actress to make choices? You can now certainly choose a lot, but at the beginning of your journey, perhaps it is not so easy to say yes or no to certain works. So what was the importance in your career, the ability of making choices? I will skip to German so that my guests might understand me as they came here to celebrate with me this award. What can I say? There are many students present here. At the beginning, it is very difficult to start. It is difficult to start your journey. But despite this, I do not think you should try and do everything. Nobody should do everything. I think it is correct from the very start to be able to choose, to say this is not right for me, for example, or I cannot do this. This doesn't make me grow. If you try and do everything at the start, you might lose your orientation. It is important to ask yourself, what is the contribution that I can give? What am I really interested in? So I think you have really to make choices. There were times when, honestly, I did not have the possibility of choosing. Sometimes I made the wrong decision. But I also had times when I was unemployed, when I did not work at all. And some risk is part of the game. On Thursday, we were here on this stage with Milo Rao, whom you mentioned in your speech, and I asked him. He spoke a lot about you, and I will tell you just a couple of things he said about you. Working with her is extraordinary because she's prepared to be brought in unsafe territories in many senses. But also he said, I feel safe when I work with her because there is no failure with Ursina. And I would like to ask you whether you recognize yourself in what he told about you, and if you can tell me instead what it was like for you to work with him. I certainly confirm what he said first, because I perfectly see myself in his first description. And as for failure, I wouldn't agree totally with him. I am ready to be brought outside my comfort zone and my safe area. I like traveling where I would not rationally go. It is an important part of the works I am starting with. Meeting Milo was particularly interesting for me because it brought out something that already I had inside, and really I'm grateful for him declaring that he feels safe with me. I remain focused until the very last minute, and I always try to look at everything, at the whole of the work, and have fun also when I perform. I take upon myself the responsibility of my role. I understand the responsibility of helping the others, but when I get on stage, I know why I'm there. And there are at times some cases in which there are 100 rehearsals of the same piece, 10, 15 years, and you have to be very careful in what you choose. Milo was extremely open to dialogue with me. Men, artists. We immediately found a common tuning. We were able to find a synthesis despite the conflicts we had at the beginning. We can stand each other also in the darkest moments. You made a number of works together. What we saw here in Venice, the seer, but also Every Woman, put at the center the relation with death. Also for the viewers, how much we can stand seeing violence and death on stage. And I would like to ask you two things. One, the intensity of the relationship with death, with the image of death on stage, is it compatible with the numerous rehearsals of a show, of a piece? But from the very origin of the Greek theater, theater is perhaps the place where we can find ourselves faced with death. Is this one of the functions of theater? These two works, Every Woman and now The Seer, face the theme of death, but in a totally different way. In every woman, there is a lot of tenderness. I dialogue with a woman who is terminally ill. She has a terminal cancer. I talk with her, I talk about her, I talk as if I were her. And it is a very silent piece of work. You have a lot of time to think of your individual point of view about death. Every woman might be your mother, your cousin, a neighbor. In this case, instead, we face violence. And we have to come to terms with a very extreme destiny, with an extreme version of the destiny. We didn't choose this. We met this person by chance. There was an interview. We met the character by chance. It is not just violence, however. There is no way out. There are very short moments when, despite everything, you can have a brief encounter, and then you have to follow your path. Theater is certainly the place where we should face these themes: life, death, love. It is certainly so. That's why we are here. The possibility of connecting individual and collective. The character you create in the series is a war photographer who, at the beginning, was an actress. At a certain point during the show, we come to know that her name is Ursina. And something made me smile when talking about her initial journey. She describes the feelings when you when you are full of anxiety, you are folded on yourself for anxiety, and then you get on stage and everything changes. Is this something that is true also for yourself as an actress, as a performer? In this character, there are two different obsessions: the obsession for theater and performing, but also the obsession for violence. In this figure, we see more persons. There is a part of me, a part of Milo, a lot of Milo, I must say, in the character. We made a number of interviews with war photographers, and from that, we started to develop our text. What we have written is extremely real. It is full of reality. Sentences that were pronounced in reality during the interviews, and about this being folded by anxiety and fear. It is true, I must admit, but and then instead you stand on stage and fear is no longer there. Performing, acting, for me, is a natural state. There is nothing about acting that can disturb me. Yesterday I was telling to my cousin, I do not care if I'm ill, if I'm worried for something, if I've lost a dear person. I can anyway continue to act on stage. And it is Milo's fantasy, the fact that you have to be folded on yourself by fear and anxiety. But when I perform, when I act, fear disappears. You have mentioned your work in the Schaubühne. It is a model many actors and actresses in Italy look at with envy, because they work on stability and continuity. That is something that it is not so easy to find for an actor. This continuity, the possibility of working within a group, within a structure, has had a role in your training as an actress. Yes, the fact of working with a company is not like working with a temporary group. The company is composed and recomposed continuously. It is certainly a system that is envied by many. It is one of the possibilities in which theater can be done. And this is what I was trying to say when I was saying in my speech that we should not allow others to have power upon us. There are different possibilities for students, for example. It is important for an actor to avoid depending on something, keeping many possibilities open for your career. I made movies. For 20 years, I collaborated with Thorsten Lensing, who is here today. I adjusted to his free way of producing with different partners. There are many different forms of art. This is what is really important. There are different companies. There are ensembles like the Schaubühne. There are structures that are different. You must have the widest possible range of possibilities. A great Italian actress, Eleonora Duse, told about her characters that she fell in love with them. She had the impression of getting into them and rummaged them so that she could transfer them to the audience. You work with different characters. In The Seer, for example, we have a character that is a real character. How do you work on your characters? Have you some characters that are particularly precious and close to you, with whom you have this intimacy Eleonora Duse was mentioning? Where may I start? In The Seer, we have different stages. We started with research. We went around the world, we made interviews, we listened, we collected experiences. And this process might take years. So a work like this is not done in a few weeks. It is a very long process with different stages. And then you start selecting what you are willing to narrate. And this is done with a very close dialogue with Milo, for example. And then we have the stage, which is totally different. Sentences that might seem interesting on paper are difficult to perform on stage. They are too cumbersome. They are too long. They are difficult to be performed. So these stages are very different from one another. As regards my favorite characters, I try to enter the most obscure corners of the characters I perform. I wouldn't describe this as love. It is rather a way of facing a character, facing everything that is human, that is that creates discomfort, and that in any case is part of myself. I try to touch upon every aspect and express every aspect. And then in my life as an actor, there are the right roles in the right moment. Salome, for example, with Alan Schleff. At that moment, there was an explosion like Thorsten Lensing again. The contact with other actors and performers that can show you an explored lens, the collaboration with Milo Rau. There are some breakthrough moments, some breakthrough roles that brought totally new experiences to me. And this sometimes you can only understand many years later. As an actor, you have to hope that this radical changes continue to take place. Theatre with Milo Rau, but other authors as well, make you perform with video on stage. You were mentioning before your experience with cinema, but in the 4 shows you made with Milo, and as is often the case with Milo Rau, there is a strong presence of video pieces that are part of the show. Is it something you love, or does this disquiet you? I kind of love and hate this. It is a very complex relationship with video, and it sometimes helps you to see things in a different way. Pietrangelo Buttafuoco was saying before to me that I've managed to bring these shortcuts in theater as well. But I was very glad about these words. Clearly, you can also work without videos on stage, but sometimes it is absolutely necessary. We cannot have somebody coming here from Iraq. There are moments when it is meaningful. In Compassion, for example, I opposed as much as possible to have a close-up on my face. And this was of great help for me. I think you should ask yourself whether a video piece can add something to the performance. It should not be transformed into a habit. And then there are problems that are related to video. What is important is that it should not be something usual for you, something that might bore you. Another video again. Sometimes I realize that people is not listening to me if there is a video behind myself with a close-up on my face in the video. I think what you're saying is very interesting. The image of you with your cell phone in your hands brings to our mind something we experience every day with our cell phones, and instead it was something totally different. It was an artistic transposition, and this allows you as a spectator not to live in separated compartments. What is really interesting in those frames is not the fact that I am seen, but that you can see how I watch outside. You can see my gaze from there. One last question. In this edition of La Biennale, a lot has been said about methods. Sometimes it is necessary to break the existing methods, and create new methods. Was it important in your career, this idea of the method? Many answer this question by saying that they prefer to abandon any training method. What is your relationship with methods? I put them aside. I take them with a lateral approach. Methods can be a tool to harmonize, to make things more homogeneous. And in this case, I'm not interested in methods. I have worked with methods. My teacher was following Brecht's method, which is very good, obviously. We also had a staging with biomechanics that was very interesting. And actors were not able to use that method. It was an extremely athletic way of performing. I must say I was really bored with it. And then all of a sudden it turned out to be fantastic. If you cannot use a method, paradoxically, it can also be extremely stimulating, but you have to be extremely careful with it. You must take it in small doses. Thank you so much again, and congratulations for the award.